Hello, Fantasy Basketball Nation. Alex here to bring you my third podcast on my NBA draft grades. Now, this one will be about the team with the third overall pick, Philadelphia 76ers. Before we get underway, I just want to say a few thoughts. First of all, if you're from YouTube and don't know me from Instagram, I'm at Fantasy Basketball Advice, so make sure to check me out. And if you came from Instagram and followed the links, just thank you so much. I know sometimes it can be complicated to follow the link with the YouTube app, so thank you for supporting me. I really appreciate it. Alright, now to the upload. Philadelphia 76ers, it was insane. They had 6 picks. You would think that they would take advantage of 6 picks and really do a good job drafting. However, that was not the case at all. And that's why I gave them a C. So before we get underway here and I describe the picks, I am adding a new segment in to these picks. So while I'm talking about each pick, I'm doing a who did they pick, who should they have picked. So after I say who they did pick, I'll recommend other options that would have been better and who they should have taken. Alright, now I'll describe them. So first of all, with the number 3 pick overall, they selected Jahlil Okafor. Now that is the only pick that I completely agree with. I think that was the right decision by Philadelphia. Okafor, he's not going to be anything special. He's not going to be great. But he will help them drastically on the offensive end. And that can be really beneficial to a team. And I don't think there was a better option there because Porzingis would just be too risky at number 3. And in my mind, that was kind of the only other option because Mudiay he doesn't cut it for number 3 overall. So that's the only pick I agree with. With their second pick overall, they selected, I'm going to try to pronounce this name correctly, Willy Hernangomez. However, they traded him to the New York Knicks for 2 future second-round picks. Then 37th overall, they chose Richaun Holmes. 47th, they chose Arturas Gudaitis. 58th, they chose JP Tokoto. And 60th, they chose Luka Mitrovic. So, now I'll go in depth about them. Already talked about Okafor, but I don't agree with any of the others. Willy Hernangomez. They did trade him, and I think that was a good trade to get him for 2 future second-round picks to the Knicks. However, Raheem Christmas was still available. They could have taken Christmas and not even made the trade. Imagine what could have happened if they took Christmas. He has such great upside. It's hard to believe he dropped to 36 and the 76ers didn't take advantage and take him at 35. Now 37th, Richaun Holmes. Now, at the Portsmouth Invitational, it's an event where only seniors play. A lot of scouts actually come to that. He was impressive. I mean, he looked good. However, and he is athletic. He can finish. He can block shots. But he isn't that great player who I think at most is going to be a role player. And they had so many other options. Not like he's bad, but they could have taken so many other players, like Pat Connaughton, if he chooses to take the path of basketball, not baseball. Joseph Young, a very undervalued shooting guard from Oregon. Andrew Harrison, he has a lot of upside. And Norman Powell. But they went with Holmes. Again, not an awful pick, but they had better options. Now, for their next pick, 47th overall, Arturas Gudaitis. I don't understand why they would have went with him. He's already 22, but he's not even coming straight to the NBA. He's still going to play overseas because he's still going to need to develop. Who knows how long it'll take for him to get to the NBA, if at all. Because a lot of these players who play overseas in Europe, they decide that they just want to stay in Europe, and the teams don't really want them to come. So this pick could have been a complete waste. And the part that amazes me the most is that was the 47th overall pick. 48th, Dakari Johnson was taken. That means that they could have taken Dakari Johnson. Great upside, center from Kentucky. He didn't really get to show his full potential because he didn't get a ton of minutes. But he really could be something special, especially for someone of mid-second round value. And he has great size. He would have been a brilliant pick. And he's a center, the same position as Gudaitis. Now, for their next pick, JP Tokoto. Fine pick. He went to a big school in North Carolina, so he has experience. And we know he's a solid player, but he really can't shoot. He really is not a great shooter. And they did have better options. For example, there were 2 undrafted players who are just great in my mind, and that is Christian Wood, Robert Upshaw. I both had them valued as late first rounders. Now, Upshaw, I can understand why he wasn't drafted, because of his off-the-court issues. Wood, I just have no clue about. He was great this year, Wood. I don't get it at all. And that leads me to the next and final player of this entire draft. 60th overall, they chose Luka Mitrovic. and they had the 58th and 60th pick. And instead of those two, they should have taken Upshaw and Wood. So now I'm just going to summarize the complete thoughts. Here is what they ended up with. Jahlil Okafor, 2 future second-round picks, Richaun Holmes, Arturas Gudaitis, JP Tokoto, and Luka Mitrovic. Now this is who they could have ended up with. Jahlil Okafor, Rakeem Christmas, Joseph Young, Dakari Johnson, Christian Wood, and Robert Upshaw. Tell me which of those is better. I cannot explain why they would have made some of these choices when there were clearly better players available. And wow, I mean that draft class I just mentioned would have been amazing. A team with those 6 players, that would have been an amazing draft. A+ I would have given them. I truly would have given them an A+ because I would have been so impressed by their drafting decisions. But we only agreed on one of their picks, and because they just made some decisions that I just didn't agree with, I had to give them a C. And alright, that is my thought on the Philadelphia 76ers. So if you have the time, please like and subscribe to the video if you're not in a rush, because I really appreciate every one of those I get. And also, comment your thoughts down below. What are your thoughts on the video in general? Do you agree with what I said? Do you disagree? Is there another decision you would have made? Another person that you would have put, that you said they should have chosen that I forgot to mention? Just comment any of your thoughts below. Alright, that's it. Thank you so much. This was Fantasy Basketball Advice.